Hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to talk about popular books that I did not like. So this video is going up on Super Bowl Sunday, so I just need to do a quick little shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles. I've got my earrings on, I've got my sweatshirt on, I am ready. Fly, Eagles, fly! So let me know in the comments who you are rooting for. Should be the Eagles. But anyways, today I want to talk about popular books that I did not like. The first book that was really popular that I did not like, is Wish You Were Here by Jodi Picoult. So this came out in 2021, and it is a pandemic book. So it takes place, a woman in New York is about to go on vacation with her boyfriend who is an ER doctor, I think, some kind of doctor. And so he is like, yo, I can't leave New York right now. There's a pandemic happening. I can't leave. They need me here. But she decides she still wants to go on their trip to the Galapagos Islands. So she goes, and of course, everything's getting shut down at this time. It's like probably March 2020. She gets to Ecuador, where she's going to take this boat from there out to the islands, and everybody is coming the other way. So she's like one of the only people on this boat, and you would think that would be your first sign, maybe don't do that. But what do I know? So she gets there, and she ends up having to quarantine because she cannot get back to the United States, and meets a guy. Of course, she's got this boyfriend back home who is like working his little butt off trying to save lives as a doctor in New York City. There's a huge plot twist in the middle of the book that I was just upset about. It's a huge plot twist that kind of shakes up the entire story, and to me really ruined the book. That's all I'll say, because it's definitely a spoiler. I mean, there's no way to talk about it without spoiling it. While I don't recommend reading it, I will still leave this video spoiler free. So let me just say that the twist really changes the game, and I think it's in a way that's unfair to the reader, and yeah, not my fave. The next one is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. So this, I did not like the book. I read the book and then I watched the TV show with Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon. I thought that the television show was far superior, which is, I know, very weird for us bookworms. We tend to be very partial to the book versions of stuff. Just, it did not work for me. This is about two women who are both like kind of in different situations but wanting to do the best for their kids. There's Mia, who has just moved to Shaker Heights, Ohio, and she has a daughter named Pearl who just wants to stay in one spot. They've been kind of nomadic her whole life, and she just wants to like be in one spot. And then there's Elena. They are like a white picket fence family, mom, dad, 3 kids, beautiful life, and they kind of just get their lives intertwined. It all starts because Elena has a rental home that she rents out to Mia, so that's how they meet. And over time, she can tell that she needs more income. So she offers her a job cleaning her house. And I don't think I mentioned this, but Mia and her daughter Pearl are Black, and the other family is white. Mia also works part-time at a Chinese restaurant where she meets a woman named Bibi, who basically, in a fit of postpartum depression and like psychosis, I think maybe, dropped her baby off at a firehouse, and her baby has since been adopted by a couple who happens to be one of Elena and her husband's friends. This kind of takes us to the ways that transracial adoption is dealt with, especially regarding like economic disparities. And the reason that I didn't like this book is because I felt that it really made you take a particular side over the other. There really isn't like a bad guy in this situation. There are 2 people who think they're doing the right thing the best way that they know how to. And I felt that the TV show did a lot better job of kind of letting you come to your own conclusions about who you think is doing the right thing. The big situation is, does this Chinese baby belong with her birth mother, who could not really afford to take care of her, or with this other family who has the money to take care of her and has adopted her legally? Like, who does she belong to? So it's really a tough question, and obviously there is no good solution here. I really like the premise, and so again, highly recommend the television show. The television show did a much better job of making you form your own opinions and not like being told this is what you should think. Okay, so everyone's favorite rom-com, The Hating Game, is one that I just cannot stand. I thought that I would love this because it has like a crazy high rating on Goodreads. Everybody loves it, but I just can't stand it. It's a workplace romance, like enemies to lovers. These two, Lucy and Josh, have worked together for a while at a publisher. Two publishing houses have merged. So they both come from the different sides, and there's a promotion opening and they're like fighting over it essentially. The big thing for me is like they have really no reason for any animosity except for the fact that they come from different publishing houses that have merged. Like, I just don't understand. I've worked at companies that have merged with other companies and I don't hate their employees based on that alone. Just, it doesn't make sense to me. And there's a super freaking corny, dumb thing at the end that I think I'm supposed to think is like very romantic, but I think it's weird and just kind of dumb. There's also a point where they're at this like team building paintball event and Lucy starts not feeling well and Josh like helps her and like makes sure she isn't getting pelted with paintballs and like gets her away from the game. I think I'm supposed to swoon at that because he's like being a decent human being. I don't know. I don't think we need to be applauding men for having basic human decency. I don't know. This book is just not for me. I don't think it's romantic. And it was a disappointment because everyone said I would love it. Okay, now the next one is a TikTok favorite, and that is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. This has been like everywhere. I think it had like a resurgence. It originally came out in 2014. But for me, this was a big fail because I never figure out twists. Like, I don't think that I'm a dumb person, but for some reason in like thrillers and stuff, it's like I suspect everyone, so I suspect no one. But I figured this twist out in like the first 50 pages, which is just not boding well for how psychological and thrilling this is. So this is about like a family who, there's like 4 kids, I believe, and they're adult children, and their children, and then like the patriarch of the family. And they go to this summer house together every year. And in the past, this big traumatic event happens. And the main character, Cadence, had a traumatic brain injury from this huge fire that happened in their house. So they basically let her go back, like 2 years after the fact, let her go back to the house. She had hit her head, and so obviously, you know, that affected her memories. And she's kind of going through and reliving this summer where stuff happened and these like rich people, you know, who just can't get along with each other because of money always. And her 3 cousins who she was with when this happened. That was not a very good explanation, but without spoiling anything, it's like, that's the basis. Like I said, I could see the plot twist coming a mile away and I don't usually do that. And also, this book is only like 250 pages, but it is so boring. I was so just done with it like so early on, and I think a book should be able to hold your attention for 250 pages. The next one is really a big fan fave, and that's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is like everyone's favorite. It like moves them, they cry, and I personally think that it is kind of giving a harmful narrative. So it's about a woman who wants to end her life, and she kind of gets stuck in this like purgatory type place called the Midnight Library, where she can see what her life would be like in all these other scenarios if she made different choices in her life. So she goes through all these different alternate timelines basically and decides whether she thinks she made the right choice and does she still want to live, and because she can still like has a chance to go back to her life. I think it's clear kind of even just from that summary what ends up happening at the end, but I think that this kind of had a harmful narrative. So I suffer from depression and anxiety, and so does the author, which is almost why this is more confusing to me. There is a weird kind of emphasis on like positive thinking and like just cheer up, because Nora, the main character, does have depression. And I think that's just really harmful and really like dangerous, because I need more than that. I can't just get by with positive thinking and therapy. I need medication because my brain has a chemical imbalance. I love that if you don't need medication, if you can just have talk therapy, if you can just do some meditation and have like a positive mindset, that's awesome if that is what works for you. But I feel like the way that it's written kind of talks down to those who take medication and kind of looks at it in a way that, I don't know, made me feel like it was my fault or something. I read this book a long time ago, but I do remember how it made me feel. And so I think there was a really good opportunity for the author to talk about how medication's okay if that's what you need. Basically what I just said, it's okay if that's what you need. If you don't, that's great too. But unfortunately, I just didn't get that. And I hope that there are not people reading this book that end up thinking medication isn't what I need. I just need positive thinking and like throw their pills away and then end up in a worse situation. It just, for me, did more harm than it could do good. So I'm just gonna blanket statement every Colleen Hoover book that I've read. So I've only read 3. I've read Verity, Reminders of Him, and Regretting You. And while some, obviously, there was one that stood out as a really, really bad one, I do not like her books. I do not like her characters. I do not like her writing. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And the last one is one I know I talked about on my worst books of 2022 video, and that is Every Summer After. This follows a girl who had gone to this summer house on a lake with her parents every year, and she kind of has this childhood to teenage romance with a boy who lives in the town. And there was some sort of also complicated feelings with his older brother, and they had a big falling out like 10 years earlier, and she goes back to the town for their mother's funeral, who was like a second mom to her. And so obviously it's like second chance romance and they reconnect and all that. But to me, this was just teenagers talking about sex and going swimming. That was really it for me. That was kind of all it is. I also think that the like twist in this one too is just like gross, and it was icky. It was icky, icky, icky. Not a fan. Childhood friends to lovers to second chance romance. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And I've also read a lot that I haven't read this book, but people say it was really a ripoff of Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. Again, haven't read it, but so many people have been like, these are essentially the same book. So, except for one did it better. But like I said, I didn't read it, so I'm not going to judge, but now you know. So there's my list of popular books that I did not like. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would love it if you would like it and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye! Go Birds!